Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wind for the Glenmonarch Estate here in the Open, the 150th, the Open 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash the game. We're playing with new hole locations, which is super interesting in my opinion. I hope you think that as well. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the upcoming, the 150th, the Open 9-hole cup. Make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy the content. Also, subscribe to the channel, you can do that for free, and turn on the notifications to get a notification every time there's a new video or a live stream here on the channel. Last but not least, scan the QR code here on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Do what more than 2,000 people have already done here in July. Sign up for any of our packages. You can start from $2.50 for tournament guides and for tour guides, and we will be there to help you every step of the way, especially now when we recently got announced that we do have the summer major coming up with a completely brand new course. You can, in this playthrough, follow the info box on the right hand side to get the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. For hole number 1, when you do have any sort of headwind, we do want to play with a power 3 ball, preferably the Kingmaker, to have all the side spin as well as help. I'm backing up a little bit, starting at plus 13, using the club that I do have the most power with, aiming for the ball to go center down the fairway with a 5.5 bar off, sorry, 5.8 bar, so topspin. Adjusting into overpower will make me need overpower, so therefore I'm using a little bit of overpower to compensate. Unfortunately a great right, but playing with a club such as the Apocalypse Level 8 will give me a good accuracy and will still make me stay on the fairway. Now for the second shot, you play with the short iron that you prefer playing with, and in my instance it's going to be the Thorn, because now we're gonna go for a rough bump. This is actually not something that is common to do because the pin usually stands further left on the green, but now you can see how much more right it is, and therefore the rough bump will be the more viable option from here. I'm playing in the video, I'm playing rings from min with minus 10% elevation with my Thorn, leaving the ball guideline plenty through the hole due to the headwind, so we're not stopping short. That's something that is very important to have in mind. So the spins will vary most definitely. Here I'm using no spin, and I would try to use no spin if possible, but again, I'm not ruling out that we're going to have to use different spins here. Adjustment is going to be made. We're going to center the ball and hit perfect, and I do believe that this is going to be a hole in Pro and in Expert and also in the other divisions such as Rookie and Master, where we're going to see the majority getting an eagle, because the drive isn't difficult, the second shot is not difficult, especially when it's such a uphill elevation as well. It means that we're adjusting less rings, which is easier than to be accurate, and this is once again a very good chance to making a drop here for an eagle. For hole number 2, here we're gonna play with a quarterback and we're gonna play with a navigator. You can play with a ball with more wind resistance if you like, but I think it's nice to see that we can actually waste one of the navigators that we have stocked up plenty during the days of playing this game. Playing with a little bit of backspin, playing with one left spin, ball guideline plenty through the hole as it is headwind. Have in mind that if you do have a crosswind or a tailwind, the ball guideline needs to be positioned a little bit different, because we are obviously going to come in a bit hotter than what we're doing here in direct headwind. In this angle, I'm adjusting minimum distance plus 5% elevation. However, though, that should be thought of as that could fluctuate depending on what wind angle you have, and if you pull down into the bunker, or if you have a crosswind, you know, there's many variables. But in this one, wind angle is absolutely perfect, and I will take my hole in 1 and moving on. For hole number 3, we are going to use the tailwind, push the drive high, a lot, not high, but push the drive a lot to try to get ourselves as far up the fairway possible. The further up we get, the better it's going to be. And now with the new hole location on this hole, this is not just going to be an eagle and run, this is actually going to be a legit chance for an albatross. So a little bit of top spin, 2 left spin. I'm stretching out to try to judge with my ball guideline so it looks good. Adjustment, maximum distance plus 10, and I'm using max OP with a slower needle and a slight amount of left curl. You can do this drive in different ways, but the reason I'm deciding to go with overpower instead of using more topspin is because I do want to have some controlled bounces, because there is a history of having glitch rolls on this fairway, which means if I'm using more topspin, I'm more entitled to get that glitch roll, and that is what I want to avoid. And therefore I'm kind of switching my mindset here, using more overpower and using less topspin to have a more controlled outcome once the ball hits the ground. Now for the second shot, ladies and gentlemen, you can see here that they have moved the pin to stand closer towards the center bunker and rough, but also being more open. So instead of having to do a rough bump in between the 2 bunkers, which we are used to do, or you're just to bounce it over the center bunker without really thinking about getting anything else than an eagle, here we can actually attack the pin. Now, I didn't spend much time on this shot at all, and obviously if you're at max club, you're gonna have to play max numbers. And sure, looking at the end result is going to be needed to have some tweaks. I do believe that when it is tailwind like this, we're going to most definitely going to have to leave the ball guideline short. And one thing to have to be said as well when it comes to the second shot is that when playing with a sniper, that's only going to be viable when it comes to tailwind and also crosswind. When it comes to a headwind of tee, you're gonna have to play with the big dog or with a cataclysm, so you're not gonna find yourself struggle. You can see the speed comes in nicely, but too far left. Definitely needs some tweak to get that one to be in a better place. But hole 3 has become once again an eagle only hole to actually somewhat a decent albatross attempt. For hole number 4, they have moved the pin, and the pin stands not as far back as we're used to. Here I would like to play with a ball with a lot of wind resistance, and we're gonna play for a standard rough bump as we have been doing before. I'm moving my target a little bit more right on the rough, trying to find a straight ball guideline through the hole. Why is the straight ball guideline so important? It's because if we have a straight ball guideline, having the correct adjustment, then it's gonna go straight. But if we're aiming on the sides, trying to use the slopes there on either the right or on the left, it's very much more difficult to then be accurate and get drops. Medium distance plus 10 is to say 1 to 1, so we're adjusting 5.4 rings for 5.4 miles per hour. And you can see I'm using 1 left spin. I'm also using some top spin to get the ball guideline through the hole, using the red ring to be by the rough line. Obviously the spins here will differ, especially the top spin. That could be all the way down to backspin if it is a tailwind, or if it is a higher headwind or a more straighter headwind, it could be more top spin. So something to have in mind. Hole number 4 though, with the new hole location, plays once again more or less the same, and I'm excited about this hole, one of my favorite par 3s in the game. Oh well, I couldn't help myself, because I do believe that this is a time for us to cross the water if we do have the equipment for it. If you do want to lay up, you lay up on the fairway just as usual and then attack the pin from distance. Pin stands further back of the green and to the left, which in that case will give you a more open shot even if you lay up. But I would recommend you to check the second shot that I play in the rookie division, which would be playing the same as we would be laying up here if you want to see anything like that. But here we are starting at plus 16, aiming for with all the top spin and some left spin, not using all the curl to the left, but I'm using a power 5 ball in headwind to make sure that we do have distance enough by using the max overpower. Getting over the rough and the water, and we roll ourselves towards the green to make ourselves a nice little wedge towards the second shot. Again, Yeah, I know we're taking some risk, but I do believe that we need to take that if we do have the possibility to cross over the water, which will obviously be a massive advantage for us if our opponent is not doing that. And again, as I'm showing the layup option when it comes in rookie division, which will once again be playing the similar way as we would be laying up here on from second tee or even from third tee. But if you do want to cross over the water, this is an example for you to do so. Second shot is a simple wedge. I would strongly recommend to use all the topspin you can and then just minimize the flight time. If you want to play a no spin shot and still want to make it absolutely spot on correct, you play EB School plus 20 power 5 ball settings. We're playing with a power 5 ball. If you play power 3 ball, then you play power 3 ball settings and so forth. Hole number 5, I would say this in a wind that we can cross over the water, it's an absolute must eagle. With not making it over the water, then it's going to be a bit difficult. Hole number 6 is as boring as ever. I tried to play this hole 6 times and I got the same wind angle every time. So I decided to have big boy club and use the Berserker here to keep the ball at least as free to play. But I'm not trying to bounce directly over the bunker because that's not going to be possible even with this little headwind. But what I'm doing though is that I'm using all my topspin to try to then do a double bounce over the bunker but into the rough to roll out on the second fairway. That is what I believe in this type of wind angle is going to be your only way to get yourself close to green on the second shot. But it's going to be difficult and there will be a lot of players messing this drive up and there's going to be a lot of players sitting there with a birdie on their scorecard in the end because it's a long par 5 and quite boring to be honest because there's not that much that is happening. You're playing for the eagle and the eagle alone. So the drive is there. You can play with obviously other clubs that do have a lot of topspin. That doesn't have to be the Apocalypse level 8. Looking at the second shot here, now we're gonna do something that I don't do very often, but when we are this short and we don't have the tailwind to help us on the drive so we can get further up, then I'm gonna go for a power slice. So I'm using all but one top spin, 2 right spin here. I strongly advise you to play with the Cataclysm or the Big Dog. So I'm making an adjustment that is max no elevation. Once that is done, I will move 25 rings to the right with my Cataclysm level 8. Obviously, the rings to move for the power slice is going to differ depending on what club you have. But this is the way here to not struggle with the fact that max curl is not going to help you. You're still going to get yourself into the rough and you don't want to lay up. You do want to push to get the ball to be as close to the green possible. You see here the ball rolls down and we are getting very close to the green, and this is a way for us to lock in the eagle. So we're gonna take the wedge as well to say a couple of words there. We're just gonna change in the info boxes here. We're gonna change that to not to 0, it's gonna be 20, as we're gonna play here EB School plus 20 with obviously the power ball that we are using. So taking a look at the third shot from here, my tip would be to try to not play for the massive downhill slope. Try to use a little backspin, land the ball on green with the first bounce, because if you're landing the ball before the green and the fringe, you're going to see yourself having a very glitchy ball guideline, and that's going to be the cause of some misses there. So make sure you have the ball guideline to the hole or into the hole so you don't fall short, and then aiming with the first bound to be at the top of the hill. And you can see here we fall lovely down straight dead center for an eagle here on a very tough par 5 to get an albatross on, such as hole number 6 of the Glen Monarch Estate. Hole number 7, they have moved the pin to be more right and a little bit closer towards the water and the rough. Now I do believe that the rough bump is a much more viable option than what it was before, because trying to bounce over all that water and the rough is going to make it very difficult to get the speed correct, because you're going to have to land just very close to the rough line, especially in headwinds. Alright, now when I do make my adjustment, I'm using the bullseye to be just by the edge of the rough line where the rough becomes darker. I'm using 3.5 bar backspin, ball guideline to hole. Adjustment is minimum distance plus 15, and I'm going to hit perfect. Obviously, when we're playing a rough bump like this, it is a little bit risky. But when I do a playthrough like this, I do want to take risks where I do believe that we will benefit from taking those risks. And this is a situation where I truly do feel that's the case. Getting it dead center, but obviously hitting a bad shot, having a bad adjustment, will make this one risky. And then you can always go back to play the bounce over if you feel more comfortable with that. But you need to have in mind that the rough bomb gives you a better chance for the hole in one, but obviously it's riskier. The bounce over will give you less chance for an hole in one, but it's going to be safer. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do. On the drive for hole number 8, we're gonna play on the right hand side this time, and the reason for that is that I do believe that with the clubs that we do possess, we can get ourselves very high up the right side fairway. And now with the new hole location being more right and further back on the green, it gives us a shorter way towards the pin, whereof obviously you can still play the left side play and you can still attack the pin from distance. But I do truly believe that this is actually one of the few times where I'm changing my mind on where to put my drive here on the Glen Monarch with the new hole locations. Adjust is max plus 10, same as before, all the side spin and some top spin. Top spin will vary depending on what wind angle you have. Play with the driver that gives you the most power possible to not have to struggle using too much overpower, especially in headwind. This is a perfect situation now. We have an open chance to drop the ball with a lovely view there in the background. Let's take a look at the second shot as well, and we're going to use no elevation for this shot. And we're going to play with the short iron, that is our favorite short iron. But have in mind that a good ball guideline is always going to be great, because even if you hit great with a club that has better accuracy, it's not gonna drop because you hit great. So that's, get that out of your system already. So the ball guideline is definitely the thing to look at first. Obviously a good accuracy with that is not bad, that's not what I'm saying. Just want to try to make that point. Ball guideline slightly short of pin. Measure your club distance from, min club to max club to be the most accurate, and decide what to play from there. Now we do have a very favorable wind, as it is more or less a straight tailwind, which makes this drop to be fairly easy to get. But have in mind though, you need to center the ball, you need to adjust properly, otherwise you're not going to get an eagle here on hole number 8. Hole number 9. Here we do want to push the ball to be as far left possible. You can see here now that I'm using a power 5 ball as well. If you have the possibility to use anything with a better wind resistance than a berserker, then do so, in my opinion. 2 left spin, I'm using 2 top spin here as well, aiming with the white ring by the rough line at plus 19. Have in mind that the ring's position will differ if you have a different accuracy than Apocalypse level 8, but I would recommend Apocalypse of T, because I would like to use all the curl I can to the left. And once again, that's because we do want to push the ball to be closer towards the green. It's going to make the second shot to be a bit friendlier to us. And now with the new hole location, the game makers has made us an opportunity to actually go towards the pin. So on the second shot, you obviously have a decision to make. Either you play with a sniper and gamble with that you're making sure that you do have the distance enough. I would, however, though, recommend to play with the Cataclysm, because I do believe that this spot here with the sniper gives us a very weird bounce on the first one and the second one as well. When playing with the Cataclysm, you could, if being a little bit lucky, actually reach to make a rough bump, or you can just bounce before the rough, which is a little bit more flat, and it gives you a more consistent outcome. So therefore I do have the Cataclysm listed in the info box there to the right. No elevation, true club distance, as it is slightly not slightly uphill, but it's gonna be no elevation here for this shot. A perfect ball is not gonna be close here, and again, didn't spend much time on this one here, but You can see with the new hole location, it gives us a possibility to attack the pin, as it stands more right now. Before, it was way further back on the green and also to the left, which made this hole to be just an eagle only hole. So hole number 9 together with hole number 3, 2 par 5s that has been absolute boredom, is actually now a little bit funnier when we can go and attack the pin for an albatross. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough with various wind for Pro and Expert Division Glen Monarch Estate with new hole locations. Make sure that you do scan the QR code on the screen or go directly to patreon.com/golfclashtommy and sign up to any of our Ultimate Tournament Guide packages or exclusive tour text guide, especially now when we do have the Summer Major coming up with a completely brand new course. And if there's anything we are the best at, it's new courses. I'm super excited to absolutely crush it together with you all. So make sure to subscribe and be a part of the community. Thank you once again for watching. Good luck in your Golf Clash game.